Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and we will be heading to the first report of the Daily Debate for tonight, and it comes from the Cairo Summit for Peace and the statements made by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, drawing a roadmap for peace, and it would be starting with a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. More details in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
In an impassioned address at Cairo Summit for Peace on Saturday, President Fattah al-Sisi reaffirmed Egypt's unwavering support for the Palestinian cause and proposed a roadmap to end the current humanitarian crisis in Gaza and revive the path for peace, addressing leaders from more than a dozen Arab and Western countries and representatives of the European Union and various international organizations attending the summit that was called by Egypt earlier last week to discuss ways to de-escalate the war in Gaza. President Sisi criticized the inequality and double standards in dealing with the loss of human lives. The president asked, where are the values of human civilization that we have built over long millennia and decades? Where is equality of human souls without discrimination or segregation or double standards? President Sisi said that Egypt condemns in the clearest terms targeting, killing and intimidation of all peaceful civilians. At the same time, Egypt expresses its deep shock that the world is standing by idly while the catastrophic humanitarian crisis unfolds. The president emphasized that these practices, including collective punishment, blockade, starvation, and pressure toward forced displacement, run counter to principles of international law and agreements established by civilized world to prevent such actions. The president also reiterated that Cairo categorically rejects the displacement of Palestinians from their land under any circumstances. President Sisi added that anyone who believes that the Palestinian people, who are proud, steadfast, and resilient, would be willing to abandon their land even under occupation or bombardment is mistaken in their understanding of the nature of these people. He stressed that the liquidation of the Palestinian cause without a just solution is beyond the realm of possibility, and in all cases it will never happen at the expense of Egypt. And President Fattah al-Sisi pondered, isn't it high time to address the root causes of the Middle East problem? Hasn't the moment arrived to dispel political illusions that the status quo can be sustained? He stressed that the only solution for the Palestinian cause is achievement of justice through a fair and equitable resolution that upholds rights and aspirations of Palestinian people. The Egyptian president emphasized the need to prevent conflict, which broke out on the 7th of October, from escalating further and jeopardizing regional stability and global peace and security. He extended an invitation to the world community to work collectively on a specific roadmap. The president added that this plan should occur concurrently with efforts to strengthen the Palestinian Authority to fully assume its duties in the Palestinian territories. The Sisi noted that Egypt has never closed Rafah border crossing from Sinai Peninsula to Gaza, saying the crossing was bombed on Palestinian side by Israel, thus preventing aid from reaching people in the Strip. He revealed an agreement reached with the United States regarding sustainable opening of Rafah border crossing under supervision of the United Nations. This proposal aims to allow for vital humanitarian aid to reach the people of Gaza. Since the war started 2 weeks ago, 24/7 Israeli airstrikes on Gaza Strip killed more than 4,100 Palestinians and injured more than 13,000 in the Strip, most of them women and children. Moreover, Israeli airstrikes destroyed hundreds of homes in the Strip, leaving more than 1 million Gazans without shelter. Israel cut off all food, water, and fuel to the 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza, pushing the civilian population toward the brink of human catastrophe.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I am honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Mr. Mohamed Sabreen, the writer at Al Ahram newspaper. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you to have me.
Anytime. First of all, Mr. Mohamed, of course, we have seen the Summit for Peace in Cairo, or the Cairo Summit for Peace. How do you see the importance of holding such a summit with the attendance of several institutions and organizations and, of course, leaders from the Arab world and the West at the same time?
I think, the most important message from such a conference actually to put, the Palestinian cause on the stage, and to make it very clear to the rest of the world that, the issue is occupation, the Israeli occupation. And all things which went very bad coming from the main cause, which is occupation. We need the international community to remember this forgotten issue, which is the Israeli occupation of Palestinian land. Mm-hmm. And the second message from this conference, international community can no longer ignore the suffering of Palestinians. And I think, Palestinians and also the rest of people in the region are fed up of letting the Israeli authority to be treated, in a very different way, comparing with the rest of countries in the international arena. Mm-hmm. By letting the Israelis to escape, not to be responsible about anything, using excessive forces, denying the Palestinians the right, ignoring all the international resolution regarding, these things. And recently, they thought that, they could get rid of, the undesirable results or consequences of occupation and push it to the neighboring country. Mm-hmm. So Egypt said, by this conference, enough is enough, and the international community must take its own responsibility. Mm-hmm. And the other message, which is very, very important, I think for everybody now, the whole region, there is a tsunami of anger. And United States and the West are actually taking the risk by ignoring and not doing enough to end this crisis. Yes. To let the Palestinian and also, the people from all over, our region, the Middle East and beyond, and even inside their own societies. Yes. We saw all very angry demonstration. We saw the, demonstrated, invaded, the Congress and expressing solidarity with Palestinian. So the world is still some good conscious people who are actually expressing very loudly that, it's enough and enough is enough.
Yes, you've mentioned a very important point, is that one of the main points and the remarks made by this conference or this summit for peace from Cairo is that to stop the idea itself of Israel pushing 2.2 million citizens in Gaza into Egypt or into Jordan, as we have seen both the remarks from President Sisi and the Jordanian king at the same time. How do you see the response from the Palestinians themselves inside Gaza receiving this idea?
I think, Palestinians made it very clear that they are not going to repeat the mistakes. They are not going to repeat the Nakba. They are not going to allow the Nakba to happen again. And also, the Egyptian country and the Egyptian society and Jordanian country and Jordanian society, leadership, elites and public opinions made it very clear, red line, we are not going to accept it. By stick, by carrots, by any means, no, it's a red line. We are not going to accept it. We are ready. All Palestinian and Egyptians and Jordanian and the rest of the Arab countries, are ready to go to the end of the world to stop this, to reject this, not to accept it. And one important thing happened during this Cairo conference for peace. All the Arab countries, in a very rare situation, all of them rejected, don't accept it.
Yes.
All Israelis maneuvering and all Israelis dirty tricks.
On the other hand, how did you see the reception of this rejection by the Egyptian president and the Jordanian king, as well as, more importantly, the Palestinian people themselves? They don't want to move, they don't want to leave the lands and homes and to be being put in other countries and neighboring countries. How did you see the response of this rejection by the leaders who propagate this idea, like Israel, for example?
I think they are astonished, and during the last few days, I think we are witnessing a very hysterical moment where, a lot of illusion was already finished, already destroyed. So one of the illusions that, the Arabs, they are not care, that the Palestinian issue is no longer, matter to the Arabs and the Muslims.
Yes.
To discover, that it is still there, it is still in the heart and the mind of the leaders and also the people. And they are not going to accept anything. And the most important things, which is the new generation. The new generation in the Arab streets and all over the world, they do remember, they do care, they are not going to accept, and they are going to exercise a lot of pressures in all, the decision makers all around the world that, they are not going to accept this bloody, massacre to continue.
Mr. Mohammed, you've mentioned that this summit is a part of evidence that the Arab people, they still care, that this is the center stage for the Palestinians, this is the main cause for the Arab world itself. But on the other hand, we have seen on social media people from all over the world rejecting the Israeli practices, and of course celebrities and sports figures as well. So what does this say about the Israeli practices nowadays? Because we have seen protests maybe in London, in New York, even in India, in the Netherlands. So in Israel itself, against what is happening by the Israeli Prime Minister and the practices of the Israeli Prime Minister to be protecting his diplomatic interests instead of the people and, of course, the Palestinian people. What does this say about the Israeli practices nowadays? Unlike the other times and the other aggressions that took place in the past 20 years, for example?
I think, this is one important, what you are referring to, one of a very important development happened in the stage. The monopoly of Israel and the Israeli supporters of telling the story, setting, the condition for what is already happened, what should happen, how we could go from the is no longer, dominating and enjoying this monopoly. Now is the Palestinian cause are accepting and gaining the support not only in the Arab countries, not only in the Muslim countries, but all around the world, even in Israel, even in New York, even in London, and so on. Not only between, the masses or, the ordinary guys, but among, the intellectuals, professors, actors, celebrities, all people who do have and still have a good conscience. So Israelis and whoever supporting them, they are no longer, the field is not only for them. There is a very tough players are playing, the game against them.
Yes, we have seen a lot of countries, a lot of organizations and institutions participating in the Cairo Summit for Peace. Do you think that this summit has increased the area of understanding between those participating countries and institutions regarding de-escalation and maybe reaching a ceasefire?
I think, what Cairo, conference did is, as we started our discussion, they put, the issue, the main cause and, the essence of, Palestinian, issue on the middle of the stage, make it very visible, make it very clear that, the Arabs not accepting, the Arabs are fed up. There is a huge, worry that things could be a big fire, a big things. So, and also, Egypt, did it very wisely and very clever. They put all the players on the stage so everyone, even their own audience, will notice that, they are supporting Israel and they are not, taking a reasonable things, and, they have to go back to their own citizen and try to explain why they are very biased, why they are taking this, unfriendly against a very clear and a very human issue and miserable and tragedy, which is the Palestinian cause and the Palestinians who are suffering, for a long time.
Yes, Mr. Mohamed, turning to the other report of the daily debate for tonight, and of course we discuss Gaza for today on the daily debate and the critical aid needed for the Gazans inside the enclave or inside the Gaza Strip. And of course there were obstacles in the past few days of entering or reaching this aid for delivering this aid to the people of Gaza. We would see in the upcoming report what happened on Saturday and the amount of aid still needed for the Gazan people in the upcoming few days to be elevating the humanitarian situation there. So stay tuned.
During the Cairo summit held on Saturday, President Fattah al-Sisi emphasized his call for a sustainable opening of Rafah crossing, a lifeline for humanitarian aid to flow A convoy delayed for nearly 2 weeks finally arrived in Gaza on Saturday, bearing a glimmer of hope amid relentless chaos. However, the contents of this convoy left much to be desired, despite bringing water, food, medicine, and medical supplies. UNICEF said it contributed 44,000 bottles of drinking water, proclaimed to be just enough for 22,000 people for a single day. A staggering figure, yet only a mere drop in the parched desert that is Gaza's current reality. Water production in the Strip is a mere shadow of its former self, operating at a mere 5% of capacity, condemning 2.3 million residents to exist on just 3 liters of water daily. The World Health Organization chimed in with a bleak assessment, warning that the aid received over the weekend would barely begin to address the escalating health needs in Gaza. This pitiful volume of assistance merely scratches the surface of the medical catastrophe unfolding within the Strip. But what is missing is fuel, which is crucial to keep generators humming in Gaza's hospitals, where the wounded and critically ill await care. Fuel, oxygen, and many medical supplies are withheld at a time when 7 hospitals, along with 25 health centers in Gaza, have shuttered their doors due to the shortage of fuel, accentuating the dire healthcare crisis. Even as medical facilities struggle to stay operational, the Israelis persist in their threats to bomb hospitals, demanding their swift evacuation and thus worsening an already grim situation. Conversations with UN officials reveal the stark limitations on humanitarian deliveries, with no relief convoy on the horizon despite the escalating urgency. The next glimpse of hope, in the form of a UN consignment, is expected on Monday.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I am honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight Mr. Mohamed Sabreen, the writer at Al Ahram newspaper. Mr. Mohamed, thank you very much once again for being with us. Of course, we have seen in the past report, and we have heard the details about the Gazans needing and wanting critical aid, which Israel is still somehow blocking at the Rafah border crossing, because we know that it could be delivering about 600 trucks a day, and I think that about only 3% is going through every day through the Rafah border crossing in the past couple of days. When would this end, this process?
I think, the Israelis, by the end of the day, they are not going to have any choice except, they have to open, the gates and let the, all the aids to go to the Palestinians. And what we are seeing right now is a very tricky game, trying to intimidate and trying to deceive. The other side. And Egypt is not going to be intimidated, and also is not going to be deceived by any soft talks.
Yes.
And the Palestinians and the rest of the international community, they are going to keep pressuring the Israelis and also the Americans and the West to end this very bloody, disaster situation. So it's about time.
Yes.
It's like trying. Each side is or as the Israelis are trying, to test, how the Arabs are going to be patient.
We have seen during the Cairo Summit for Peace some parties from the European Union itself, as well as some European countries like Cyprus and Greece and other European countries, declaring that Israel, it needs to be defending itself. At the same time, they have condemned the attacks by Hamas, and they have called to be labeling Hamas a terrorist organization. How do you see those double standards now?
I think, for the European Union, and the European countries, they started, from a very harsh, stand, and threatening, that they are going to suspend, the aid to, Palestinian Authority. And they couldn't hold to this, situation because,
yes.
or to this stand. And again, it is not Hamas; it is the occupation. It is, the excessive forces. The Palestinians who are living in a prison, the Palestinians who are denied all human rights, and living without any hope, and in a very miserable situation. So we need to focus. You can't put someone in a very unhuman conditions and ask him, to be, rational. This is very, very stupid, way of looking. And also, this is a huge manifestation regarding, if you are speaking about, the rights of the civilian, so why you are not speaking loudly, about, the Palestinian, people who are dying,
yes,
who are bombarded, who are, displaced from their homes, the one who are intimidating and asking them to leave their own country and trying to bombard them and pushing them to the neighboring country, and to create and escalate a lot of national security threats to these countries, who are trying to be a very responsible player, and playing and doing all what it can to make the region very stable. What we are seeing, the Israelis are inflaming the whole region, and the Arab countries are trying to make peace and to make the stability in this region. So the situation, it is not, Hamas, because if it is not Hamas, it's going to be somebody else. Because if this occupation is not going to be end, I think the international community and the international laws give the people who are living under occupations the right to struggle to end this occupation by all means.
Yes. On the other hand, during the summit, we have seen condemnations by Egypt, Palestine, Jordan, and of course, most of the Arab states and the African Union as well, and the Arab League, of killing civilians, regarding killing civilians in Palestine, in Gaza, more specifically about 4,000 killings by Israel towards the Gazans. Half of them, at least, are children. So is this the right to self-defense, as Israel calls it? How can this stop?
I think, if we go back, not the Egyptian side or the Arab side, the international community, United Nations, and even, some of European, countries, they
yes.
always condemned Israel by what they call it, the excessive forces,
yes.
The use of excessive forces, which is not reasonable. And what we are seeing right now, it is a massacre. Actually, it is someone who are, or some side who are in a very rage situation, in a very, they are not controlling themselves, they are not behaving as a responsible, state. They let themselves to be moved as, an angry person. This is ridiculous.
How did you see the political efforts of Egypt from the very first day of this conflict and the attacks that took place between Hamas and, of course, the retaliatory strikes from Israel afterwards?
I think, we must state it very, very clear that Egypt is the one who started the peace in the whole region,
yes,
not anybody else. And from this point of time, Egypt takes the responsibility to defend peace and to, to defend and also advocate and trying to spread the message of peace and the message of let us make the region stable so we could develop, our countries. Let's have win-win situation and enjoy all of us, with the profit of peace. So I think this is Egypt's destiny, because nobody, went to war like Egypt. We went to several wars. So we got the message that, we need to live in peace. Let's negotiate and reach, this historical, settlement, and the peace deal. The deal is already international community make it very clear. Give the Palestinian their land, establish the Palestinian state with East Jerusalem as a capital, and let us, all of us, live in peace. So Egypt is not going to surrender its own duty, despite the fact that, it's getting the blame from everyone, because everyone would like to drag Egypt to his own side. But Egypt is supporting peace, defending peace, and this is our destiny.
Yes, Mr. Mohamed Sabreen, the writer at Al Ahram newspaper, thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.